All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Jeff, where our mission, for those of you that don't know, where our mission is to bring guests in from all over the world, from different backgrounds, different experiences, right? And they're willing to come in and share what the lessons learned, the gifts that they uncover, and more importantly, the impact that they've had on lives all over the world from the things that they gain from going through the comebacks in life, right? Oh, man. Right, and they come in here and they share these things, and we hope that you are able to come in here either fired up already or coming here looking for some space just to reset, coming in here, man, just wandering around, and you hit us, and we give you something that you can take right now and continue to elevate yourself, get you out and out of the rut, or get you moving to the next level, man, right? And so I encourage you, make sure you subscribe, set the notification bell up, pass this on to your friends, and go back and check some of the recordings, man, because we've had some phenomenal people over the years. And they've all come in showing grace and humbleness and humility and pouring into you, baby, right? So anyway, welcome to another session of Conversations with Jeff. I told you some of the background. And like today, I'll show up sometimes and share just a little piece of what's going on in my life. It does have some relevance to our mission, right? Which is to master that stinking thinking that goes on. You know, that funky thought that you had about yourself, probably maybe just a few minutes ago, or sometime today. We all have it. It happens all the time. Or the image that you see when you look in the mirror, when you look in your phone. Do you like who's looking back at you? If not, why not? And how much of the stinking thinking that goes on that you listen to all day long is part of how you feel, how it impacts your energy, how it impacts your state, right? And where your energy flows, your focus goes, baby. Come on, man. You guys know what I'm talking about. So anyhow, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Jeff Tyson, and I am the host of Conversations with Jeff International, and also founder of Comeback King Enterprises, which is a business that we provide that offers speaking and coaching and consulting for those of you that know you're meant for more, those of you that are looking at leadership roles or in leadership roles, and you have this block that's in the way, right? And a lot of times it's the old history block that's back there. That's thinking that's been stacked and stuffed and put away for so long that just keeps you limited. You know what I'm talking about. You get a promotion, things are moving fast, and then you have this big dream and goal, and all of a sudden you find yourself back where you started, even though you had the promotion, even though you have the ability to go forward. You self-destruct. How many of us know about self-destructing behaviors? Oh, man, there's this thing that they talk a lot about, you know, and fear of success is as great as, and if not worse, oftentimes, than fear of failure. Oh, man, I'm going to say it again. Fear of success is oftentimes as prevalent and more as impactful as the fear of failure. Both of those stop us. Both of those put a cap on us, right? And fear, man, fear it's invisible. It's one of those invisible things like electricity, right? Fear, electricity, sound. You guys know what I'm talking about. Ah, man. So today I just wanted to stop in for a moment. I'm out and about, but you know, this is a commitment on Tuesdays. We thought we had something. I didn't set something up for a recording on some of our great shows in the past, so I'm going to drop in here just to kind of talk to you about something that happened, right? And it didn't happen, so it was just crazy, right? But the title of this quick discussion, conversation. Remember, when you hear this, let me know where you're from. Let me know if this resonates and how we can help you, right? But anyhow, I put it in the title today: Blindsided, when life hits without warning. You know, I had something else I was going to talk about, but this is kind of relevant, I really think, because I have to tell on myself too, right? Okay, so, you know, in the mornings, my wife and I would go through some things, and we kind of work towards getting time to sit down and have our time, you know, our spiritual time and devotional time. And so we were doing that this morning, right? And I make coffee, I cook, I'm in the kitchen, right? Anyway, I'm doing this, and there's been this pesky gnat, one or two gnats. How many of you have gnats that sometimes just pop out of nowhere, and they're just the pestiest things? Yeah, I'm talking about those little buzzy things, right? Anyway, so I was in there, and I was making the coffee. I grind the beans because I like to grind coffee beans. And so, and I was in the cupboard getting some cups down, and I saw the gnat. check this out. I saw the net buzzing around in it, right? So I said, I'm going to get that thing, right? So when I went to get it, I swung at it lightly. But what I did was I hit the back of the shelf and it tipped the shelf up. Oh, man, what's this got to do with Blindsided? And I hit the shelf and the cups just came crashing down. Bang, bang, bang. Right? I caught a couple of them, right? I mean, it wasn't a lot, thank goodness, but it was just like the loud sound, the disruption of the flow of the morning, because I always talk about protect your morning, right? The bookends of our lives, our mindset, the mornings and the evenings, right? And so anyway, I just started banging. Our flow was going really cool, and all of a sudden, man, it was just kind of like, and guys, I'm thinking, oh shit, stuff. I'm in trouble now, right? And you know, my wife just kind of looked at me and you know, we went to work on cleaning it up and all that other stuff, and it just broke the cycle of the flow out of nowhere, right? Over something really, really, why am I talking about the net? Something really, really small, man, can have that big of an impact in our lives in other areas, right? So mine was about making coffee and getting ready to be able to come together with my wife, and how I had to clean it all up and, you know, do all those things which we were able to do. But what about in life and business? Let's just talk about business for a minute, right? I mean, this is going all the way back to COVID, you know, which is still, COVID still has some hangover effects going on, right? But anyway, in my real estate business, you know, we living in Texas, doing business in the Midwest and other places. And you know, we had just settled into a partnership with some folks on buying some Airbnb properties, right? Great value, had 2 properties, we're gonna add more. I mean, this thing was gonna be a fantastic deal, right? So we get it all done, signed, and start on it. And then, you know, sometime early in 2020, I think it was, you know, overnight, just like that, the world shut down. There was no air travel. There was no plans on vacations. There was no plans on, well, you know, that would feel what we were planning to do on our side of it. Overnight, man. There was a significant amount of money invested at that time. So, you know, that was a blind side from not only us, but everybody in the world. And we've, you know, learned some things from that. There's been many blessings from that. And I will tell you that, you know, those properties ended up getting completed. Those properties ended up being very valuable and performing, and I sold that part of the business. And so, you know, it worked out because we stayed in it. Panicked for just a second or two, sat down and said, what the flip is going on? But then employed what I suggest doing all the time, right? Things go like this morning, blindsided, you know, I was like, oh crap, the cups that I could catch. Talked to, you know, reminded myself that, hey man, it's gonna be okay, right? This thing will change. I can only affect what I can affect. The things I can't affect, I don't get lost in, right? And then get into the solution, man. So we got into the solution. We figured out how to get the projects finished. We figured out how to get them on the market and all those things around moving forward, taking steps moving forward, right? I wrote this down. It's not what happens as much as it's the story you start to tell yourself. I'm gonna say that again. It's not what happens as much as it is about the story you're about to tell yourself. And most of you are going to see this recording and that, so hopefully you're able to listen to everything I'm talking to you about, because man, what story do you tell yourself about yourself, right? Those cups came crashing down, and you know, I wanted to have a bunch of negative thoughts about myself and being so, you know, hey, you dummy, how did you do it? Blah, blah, blah. You know what you fill in the blanks when you're in that situation and you're all alone, and you really start to pour on this dump on yourself, because we do that, dump on ourselves, right? So all these things, man, all of this stuff that just whacks away at the momentum of my day, whacks away at the momentum of your day, takes away the energy that you have set up to move forward with, right? Just by saying what we say when we're not thinking. right? And then, so I challenge you as life shows up today, and you're gonna get stops. You're gonna have the best plans, man. You got everything set up, right? If you're on this diet program, you're going to exercise, so you bought this machine, and now you got the machine, and now you got this refrigerator full of green stuff that you really never eaten before. Right? So now you're going to start this new diet, but you forgot about getting rid of all the cookies and cakes and stuff that's stashed throughout the house. So you still have a go-to if you really want to. Right? So you begin, and then, the stinking thinking starts to remind you, hey, man, you've done this before. Talking about those of us sticking a diet. How did that work out for you? You know it's only going to be a couple of days. Why don't you go in there and just have a bite of that cupcake that you never threw away, right? That is in there, man, that keeps you stuck. So, man, listen, I really encourage you to think about what happens when you get blindsided, when things happen with no warning, when you have a master plan and things go the opposite way, right? How quickly do you reset? How quickly do you begin to command the conversation with yourself about yourself, and then begin to uplift yourself, right? Rather than stacking all the negativity on it that you can think of, man, because that comes automatically. Humans by nature, unfortunately, are negative people. Do the research. Everything will tell you that. Our brain, right? This magnificent thing in our brain is geared to protect us. It's geared to remind us of all the things that went wrong and when we tried something new. Reminds us of all the things that we failed at when we were trying right, for something new again. I mean, that's just understanding the mechanics of all this. And then get excited. And why I get excited? Because it's the conversation you begin to tell yourself, or you have with yourself, not the one you listen to, but the conversations, the verbal commands that you give yourself, right? How do you change the conversation you're having, that you're listening to with yourself about yourself? By changing the conversation you're talking to yourself about with yourself. Stop listening to all that old crap and begin to give yourself new commands, begin to give yourself new rewards, begin to give your affirmations that over time will elevate you past the automatic spinning that's happening with our funky thinking, our stinking thinking, right? It's automatic a lot of times. And then that becomes the second voice, or the quieter voice, the whispering voice. It's still there, it's still whispering. But that voice that you've been working on after becoming aware of how this is impacting your life, and the voice that you become to scream at after you begin to replace, oh, hey, wait, there's a gap. After you begin to look at it and understand that there's a gap between being aware and being replaced, that we have to figure out what that is. Why does this thinking keep coming up? What did it really do to you? Where did it come from? There's a bunch of W's. Where, why, when, with, right? All that has to happen in that search. But it can happen, and it can get you to where, oh man, and here's the magical part. And we can do this starting today, right now, tomorrow. If you're willing to step into, I believe, the most underutilized, undervalued gift that we have as human beings, and that's mastering the conversation we're having with ourselves, listening to the conversation, listening to what we're listening to about ourselves, from ourselves, and begin to change the narrative. Work on changing the narrative. It's going to take time. It's going to take effort, some consistency, and some forgiveness, because it's easier to go back to where you were versus to swing upstream, like my coach always talks about. Hey, man, you got some things you need to work on. It's going to require some effort. It's going to require some grit. It's going to require a lot more than staying in the status quo. Which one do you want to do? How do you want to be? Where do you want to be? So those are questions I really want you to ask. How do you want to be? Where do you want to be? And what can you do today? What can you do today to begin a new process, a new conversation, a new narrative? When life blindsided, when life hits without warning, let's do something different, right? Because you know what's coming. Panic, oftentimes, all types of stinking thinking already fueling, just running after you. Right? And oftentimes people feel Lost. You ever feel lost when that happens? I have before. Frustrated. Ever been frustrated when you get blindsided? I haven't really talked about relationships and all of that stuff. And fellas, I'm talking to you now about relationships. Those of us who are feeling, like wondering why we can't seem to kind of get it right in the relationship piece. And we have all the things going on in our life. When we look around, people look at us on the outside, everything looks like it's, man, they would wish they had our lifestyle. But you know who you are out there, but on the inside, you're dying on the inside, you're that wall that you built because you've been hurt before, and you don't know how to get healed. That wall that you built because you don't trust anymore. You've trusted and you got hurt before. Those things, those things are all part of why I tell you, it doesn't have to stay that way. Thinking how you see yourself, how you feel about yourself can change. And it affects all areas of your life, our life, my life, in relationships, in our business relationships, in our marriages, in our whatever kind of relationship you have, family, kids, development, whatever it is and whoever it is. So remember, it's not what happens as much as it is the story you start to tell yourself. It's not what happens as much as it is the story that you start to tell yourself. So I want you to leave this conversation today and pay attention to what story you're telling yourself. We already know which one you're listening to, right? That's okay. That's okay, because we have a solution for that. But what are you telling yourself? Are you reminding yourself that you are, for those of you who are believers, you are God's masterpiece, your most prized possession? Are you reminding yourself that, hey, oh man, you are unique. There's only one person like you. There's only one fingerprint that I have that no one else has. And I am meant to be a certain person, just like you are meant to be a certain person for yourself and for those around you. Oh man, that should get you excited. Unique, man. We're all unique individuals. What separates us is fill in the blanks. What do you think separates us? Those that have and those that don't. Resourceful is one of them. I'm just going to say that one for now. How resourceful are you willing to become? How resourceful are you? Are you complaining about the things that you don't have? Or are you figuring out a way to create something that you don't have? Are you, like I was talking about earlier, and you're doing some dieting and you're setting yourself up for failure from the beginning? Or are you looking at cleaning out, finding the resources and people that can help you do the things that you need to do so you really can make a difference and change, right? Like cleaning out all the snacks, getting rid of all the junk that's in the house that you're going to run, all that stuff, right? Anyway, check this out as I leave you. It's really, can we just talk, right? I mean, there's three things, three S's that I want you to think about. And they're really clear about where they fit in our lives. But just listen to what I'm talking about, right? One of them is that there's Tony Robbins talks all the time about the conditions of our mind, the state that our mind is in, the story that we tell ourselves, right? And then we try to plan, have this strategy, right? And most of us, when we go to do something, check this out. When we go to do something, we want to figure out how to do it, right? What's the strategy, right? And it's important to have a strategy, but hold on to where I'm going here, right? How many times have you tried to do something and say, well, how am I going to do it? And then you start going down the how road, and then you start figuring out all these things that you don't have, that you're not capable of really doing. And then all of a sudden you're right back to where you started because you never set your state of mind right. You never had what I believe, and he talks a lot about what's the most important thing. Your state of mind determines what you're going to do. So if you have a employee mindset, wanting to become an entrepreneur, your state of mind is not going to line up with the strategies necessary to become that entrepreneur. It's just not going to line up, right? So we've got to prepare ourselves first. We've got to go back and say, hey, I've been a great, outstanding employee, and now I'm going to be an entrepreneur in this space, and I'm going to stay in my strengths, and I'm going to learn how to do these things because I want. What is the why? What do you want? I will have. What's the emotional connection to that? And I will not stop until I get it. That's a whole different state of mind. Right? That's first. And then you're going to tell yourself a different story around your state of mind. That story is going to say, hey, I know if someone else has done it before, I can do it. I know it's going to be difficult. I know it's going to be, oh man, times that I just don't know that I can make it. But I want to be able to really retire my wife at a certain age, really set up something for my children's legacy. Or simple as for me is I want control of the decisions that I make. No one else makes them for me. I have control of the decisions I make, just like you will, right? And then the strategies on how you do it. So it's just another conversation. I don't even know how I got onto that, but I think it's because when things happen, you got to change, you got to re-strategize, and you got to get reset and all the other things that happen with the blindsidedness, things that happen without warning. But I want you to know that, man, I cleaned up my mess earlier. For those of you who may not have heard the beginning, I'll go back and check out the beginning. Reset the day. I mean, we're out of the office this week, but I want to show up today. So, I just got finished exercising. So now I'm going to go get a shower and get reset for the rest of the day. But I want to remember what state of mind are you in? What story are you telling yourself? And then the strategy piece, is it something that's stopping you? Let's talk more about the state, story, and strategies. Hit me up. Let me know if this is something that I can help you with and just a different conversation around that. And remember, as I say goodbye to you, you have a fantastic day. And when life shows up, when stuff hits the fan, baby, listen. Hey, I will say it's not what happens. It's not what happens, not what you do so much as what story you begin to tell yourself. And then how do you feel afterwards? Let's stop telling us the story that we tell the worst stories about ourselves that anyone else could ever create. Stop doing that. Woo, man. How many, hey, look, I called myself a couple of DAs and when all that stuff came crashing down. If those of you just catching in, just go back and listen to the story about chasing a gnat. Anyway, oh man, I love this piece of life where we can come in and communicate. Let me know where you're coming in from. Remember to share this, set up your notification bell, and be on the lookout for some services coming from Comeback King Enterprises for the fellas here in the next couple of days. I'm gonna start dropping some stuff in here where we can really chat, catch up on some things that are important to tearing down the walls that we've built and put up to protect ourselves from the unhealed emotional experiences. You guys know who you are. You know how you feel when you lay down at night and you've just blown up another relationship, or you've done some things that you said you would never do again just so you could be protected, you think. But deep down inside, there's still that kind and considerate person that's meant to have a great relationship. So anyhow, I'm out of here for the day. Be careful when life blows up on you, when you get blindsided, the unexpected shows up. Pay attention to what story you tell yourself about that, not so much on how you react, but that lingering story. And as I always say to you, don't let nothing stop you from reaching your destiny. You shall not be denied. Say it with me. You do not let nothing stop you from reaching your destiny. You shall not be denied. Be epic in all the things that you do. Encourage, praise, inspire, and compliment, baby. Practice it. Practice it at home. Deliver it in the streets. And you'll see what the world can do, how the world will receive you. All right, baby. Have a great day. Listen for the recording on this one. Thanks a lot for everybody. Let me know where you're coming from. We'll see you on the next episode of Conversations with Jeff International. Take care. Have a great day.